Okay, going to show you my Rolling Stones record collection. We'll start with Aftermath, 1966 album, great songs like Under My Thumb and you know, one of the great songs called Paint It Black. Everybody will know that one. Beggar's Banquet's got a great cover. I found a picture of this bathroom stall online, and now it's completely covered in writing, like the whole entire wall. It's almost like the wall's just a black wall now. I like the it's pretty funny that on the left side of the toilet sort of top, it's got the little line coming from it on the left saying, it says Bob Dylan's Dream, like the song's pretty good. But other than the cover, you know, the album has songs like Sympathy for the Devil and Salt of the Earth, which I really liked the Salt of the Earth version from Rock and Roll Circus. Between the Buttons is a great album. Songs like Let's Spend the Night Together and Ruby Tuesday, pretty good. A Bigger Bang. Now see, a lot of people, you know, this album came out in 2005, and you know, I think if songs like This Place Is Empty and Streets of Love, this is a great album, I think. I mean, obviously it's not their greatest album, but you know, a lot of people think, oh, you know, once a band that's from the 60s or the 70s, you know, they don't have sort of any place making records in the 21st century, and I think that's completely ridiculous. The people that sort of look at them like, you know, kind of, what are you doing, you silly old man? You know, I completely disagree with that. Black and Blue's a good record. You know, it's got, you know, I don't know. It's an okay record. I like Memory Motel, Hot Stuff, but other than that, it's an okay record. Bridges to Babylon. I know Bridges to Babylon had a huge, like A Bigger Bang, had a huge concert tour in the 90s. So it's a pretty good album though. The Chess Sessions was it's a really cool find. I'm glad I found it. It's a bootleg, I think, of songs. There's Chess Records in Chicago was a studio, really famous blues studio. All the greats have recorded there. Everybody from Muddy Waters and Buddy Guy to B.B. King and the Rolling Stones. They were obviously all the you know, the British bands of that time. A lot of them were really big American blues fans, and they wanted to go to Chess Records and record some songs, and they ended up doing that, and that's what this CD is. Really great stuff too. Really great stuff. December's Children and Everybody's Rolling Stone. It's a good album. Obviously, it has the song that I think was made more famous by Marianne Faithfull, called As Tears Go By. This is an okay album. Dirty Work. It's a mid-'80s album. As you can tell, I think you could have guessed it was an 80s album just by the cover. But it's an okay album. Emotional Rescue, on the other hand, is a phenomenal album. The title track, you know, I mean, unbelievable album, I think. It's a great cover, too. I remember, because my dad had covers on the wall in his basement, as I said in the video before, a lot of his old records, and I used to always look at them and sort of wonder, you know what I mean? And this was one of the records, and the next record is Exile on Main Street. As far as I'm concerned, and I'm a huge Dylan fan, I'm a huge you know, Beatles fan, I'm a huge Clapton fan. I've got all these other bands that I probably listen to more than I listen to the Stones. But I think that without any reservations, I can say, for me, in my personal opinion, this is the greatest album ever made. And I really, like I said, I don't have any reservations about saying that. With songs, you know, Rocks Off, Rip This Joint, Shake Your Hips, Tumbling Dice, Sweet Virginia, Torn and Frayed, Loving Cup, Ventilator Blues, Shine a Light. I mean, this is the greatest album ever made. And it's another one of those albums that my dad had on the wall that I loved. It's probably one of the greatest album covers of all time as well. Just a bunch of photos, a bunch of random photos put together. You know, best album of all time as far as I'm concerned. There's probably arguments for other albums, but for me, I don't know, I just don't see how it gets much better than Exile on Main Street, 1972. Flashpoint, well, I'm kind of still hyped about Exile on Main Street, so I'll just say Flashpoint is Flashpoint. Flowers, 1967, I think. It might have been their first compilation album. I could be wrong. Great 60s sort of album cover, which is Pretty cool album cover. Get Your Ya-Ya's Out is a live album. It's another one of those albums that I saw on my dad's wall that I thought was weird. I don't know what I thought was weird about this. You know, the other albums looked weird, but this is just kind of, you know, Charlie Watts and a donkey sort of. I guess that's weird, but it just doesn't have as much of a jump to it, no pun intended, as the other albums like Goat's Head Soup. I always thought on this cover, I always thought it was a woman, but I'm pretty sure that that's Mick Jagger on the cover. I could be wrong though. One of my favorite Stones songs, Angie, is on this album. Got Live If You Want, it's a good live album. The Stones just have so many good live albums that it's, you know, it's hard to say which one's best, and I wouldn't say this one's the best. It's probably Get Your Ya-Ya's Out is the best. This is its only rock and roll. This album doesn't get enough credit, I don't think. I think that people, they have their thoughts on songs and certain songs. But this album, I think if you listen to it all the way through, I think it doesn't get enough credit. Let It Bleed, I thought that this came out after Let It Be, but this came out in '69 and Let It Be came out in 1970. So I always thought that this was sort of an answer, like sort of, you know, Let It Be, Let It Bleed kind of a thing, which is kind of funny. Actually, this guy in his studio has his buddies made him for his birthday an exact replica of that cover thing on the cover of this album, but they made it into a lamp. I don't know if they made it or they bought it, but it is an exact replica of that like cake-looking thing with the tire and the reel-to-reel, or the record and the clock and everything. It's awesome looking, and I would absolutely love to have it. But Love You Live, this is interesting. The cover about this is obviously, it's pretty obvious that it's an Andy Warhol cover. Andy Warhol did a couple of covers, including another one of those covers that I always recognized as a kid, but we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, this is pretty obviously an Andy Warhol, you know, painting. And apparently Mick, after the fact, he made those squiggles. I don't know if you can see it on my video. Like under his chin, you can see it, and up against the hand, and sort of at his jawline, and in his hair, and around the crease of his nose, you can see these sort of squiggles. And Mick put those in after like Warhol had already given the painting to him and said, okay, this is your cover. And apparently Warhol was livid, you know, about some squiggles, but I don't know. Made in the Shade is another one of those albums that I always remember. It's really weird, and that's probably why I have some of these, you know, compilation albums and stuff, because they just sort of bring back memories, which is weird. Kind of like the Beatles one for me. Metamorphosis is another compilation that's a really cool cover too. They're sort of like changing. Maybe they're changing into a different band maybe after this. I don't know what year Metamorphosis came out, but that might have been what they were trying to say. No Security is, yeah, it's an alright album. Out of Our Heads is, I think that apart from Satisfaction, I think that it's an okay album. Now, the Rock and Roll Circus, this is pretty funny. That they recorded it in, what, 68 or whatever, and they didn't release it until 1996 or whatever it was, which is pretty sad because I actually really enjoy it. The movie and sort of the soundtrack. In particular, Marianne Faithfull's version of Something Better, or her singing Something Better on the Rock and Roll Circus is unbelievable. Like the video of her, I mean, she's just gorgeous, and that, she's just beautiful. But there were a lot of other, the Who did a great set. Jethro Tull's song for Jeffrey was my first ever impression of Jethro Tull, and if you've ever heard anything else from Jethro Tull, you realize that that's not really how they sound at all. So it's pretty funny. Yoko Ono did some of her, her primal squealing. Taj Mahal, great guitar player. That's actually, it's just a great record. This is, I believe, the first Rolling Stones album ever. I could be wrong about that. 1964. Songs like Not Fade Away. The Rolling Stones now. is, you know, it's one of those albums. It's got, you know, the early stuff. It's funny. The really early stuff, like 64, 65, is okay to me. I mean, I like Satisfaction. I like Little Red Rooster, but it's okay to me. Like you know, once it gets into, you know, some of the other albums, the sort of 69, 70, and I don't want to say the albums without Brian Jones, because I won't say that, because, you know, Let It Bleed is one of my favorite albums. So, Shine a Light. I got the DVD first of this, and then because I wanted to see before I, you know, got the album. It's actually really good for being a really sort of modern concert. I mean, these guys still have it, and it's pretty obvious that they still have it. Let's see, Some Girls. Obviously, Beast of Burdens is a huge song. One of their most probably recognizable songs. This is a really good album, and this is another one of those albums that I always recognized on my dad's wall. As with Steel Wheels. 1989, came out in 1989, the year I was born. It's pretty cool. Not really an album I listened to ever, but it came out the year I was born, which is kind of cool. And here's the other Warhol record that I was telling you about that always made me laugh when I was a kid. You know, when you're an immature little kid and you see the bulge and you just kind of giggle, and I would unzip his pants and show my friends his tighty-whities. It's kind of funny, but other than that, and it's sad because that album is almost more known for the cover than it is, you know, the songs. Like, you know, I mean, hold on, was it? I think it might have been their first album without Brian Jones as well. The songs like, you know, it doesn't matter really, but songs like Brown Sugar and probably my favorite song, Wild Horses. What else? Can't You Hear Me Knocking? That's a great song. Sister Morphine. Another one of my favorite songs, Dead Flowers. I love that song, and sort of the story behind Dead Flowers. Kind of, you know, just listen to the lyrics of Dead Flowers, and you'll go like, that's badass. Just because it's like, yeah, you can, you know, send me dead flowers to my wedding. You can send me dead flowers, you know, every day, and I won't forget to put roses on your grave. That's just badass to me. Still Life, it's another live album, obviously from the 80s, with those beautiful colors. This is stripped, sort of, you know, I don't know. Tattoo You is a good album. I think this Tattoo You have Start Me Up on it? I think it does. So if it has Start Me Up on it, then it's good enough for me. I know my mom really likes this album. Their Satanic Majesty's Request. This is sort of the Stones' psychedelic album, and I don't know. It's a psychedelic album, and I just don't think that that's what they do. I think that they can leave that up to other people. Undercover, really weird cover, but you know, not an album I listen to very often. Neither is Voodoo Lounge, actually. I hear that the Voodoo Lounge tour was pretty good, but not really an album I listen to. There's a song on this album called 2120 South Michigan Avenue, which is the address to Chess Records, the old Chess Records studio, which is pretty cool. That, you know, I don't know if they wrote that song, but they might have written it. I don't know, but yeah, that's the address to the old Chess Studios, which is kind of cool. But that is the end of my Stones music. Hope you enjoyed. You should go out and buy Exile on Main Street, put it on, sit down on your bed, and close your eyes, and enjoy. Thanks for watching.